Well, good evening once again as we bring another week to a close. Day 1359 of the Trump administration, 25 days until our presidential election day, with the number of confirmed coronavirus cases now rising rapidly across much of our country. Tomorrow, the president, who is still recovering from the coronavirus, who still may be contagious and shedding virus, is scheduled to hold his first event since his release from the hospital 5 days ago. He's expected to speak to supporters gathered on the South Lawn about law and order. On Monday, Trump plans to travel to Florida for a rally. More on that in a moment. Meanwhile, the White House is still refusing to answer questions about the tests the president has been given, whether the virus is still in his system, for starters. This week, Trump's been working overtime trying to convince a nervous nation via nonstop interviews on Fox News that the coronavirus isn't a threat. He told Americans, quote, "Don't let it dominate your life," described his own illness as, quote, "a blessing." He insisted he was cured, and he was not. Tonight, he continued to paint a rosy picture of his COVID diagnosis during his first on-camera interview since the diagnosis happened to be with Fox News Dr. Mark Siegel.
I feel really, really strong. I think didn't feel really strong. I didn't have a problem with breathing, which a lot of people seem to have. I had none of that, but I didn't feel very strong. I didn't feel very vital. I didn't feel like the president of the U.S. should feel. And I knew there was something a little bit off.
Did that occur to you where the doctors were telling you something and you were negotiating with them, or did you just do what they said?
I did negotiate, but ultimately I have a lot of respect for these doctors. They're really the best doctors, I think, in the world. And Walter Reed, I've seen the work they do on the military and people coming in so badly injured that like you've never seen before. I have a lot of respect. So I really tended to listen, but generally, maybe I wouldn't, but I did tend to listen to this group. Could have led to bad things from that point. I don't know, but I got lucky, I think, with a certain medicine. I took the Regeneron. Within a period of 24 hours, I felt very different. They wanted to keep me for observation. They wanted to be sure it was good, but I did. I was there for, I guess, 3.5 days. They wanted to keep me. I wanted to leave after the first day. Right now, I'm medication free. I'm not taking any medications as of probably 8 hours ago.
That's about how that went. Note, Trump said he didn't have a problem breathing. Last weekend, the White House physician said the president was indeed given supplemental oxygen during his treatment. During the interview, Trump was asked about tests he received in the hospital, as well as about his latest tests for presence of the virus.
They tested the lungs, they checked for the lungs, and they tested it with different machinery. They have incredible stuff that I've never even seen before. And it tested good. Initially, I think they had some congestion in there, but ultimately it tested good. And with each day, it got better. And I think that's why they wanted me to stay, frankly. But the CAT scans were amazing. The equipment was incredible.
I heard you said you were going to test again today. Have you been retested?
I have been retested, and I haven't even found out numbers or anything yet, but I've been retested, and I know I'm at either the bottom of the scale or free.
When is your next test going to be?
I don't know. Probably tomorrow, Mark. They test every couple of days, I guess, but it's really at a level now that's been great to see it disappear.
Nobody seems to know, but that's what we've got. As for these upcoming in-person events, Politico reports over 2,000 guests have been invited to tomorrow's White House event, and that, quote, guests for Saturday's event won't be tested for the virus and won't be required to wear masks. Now, this event, seemingly designed to rile the base and trigger the political left, is being held exactly 2 weeks after the Rose Garden gathering that a lot of people consider the likely super spreader source of the White House outbreak, involving nearly 30 people, many of whom attended that ceremony and indoor receptions. Here's Dr. Anthony Fauci's call on that event.
The data speak for themselves. We had a super spreader event in the White House, and it was in a situation where people were crowded together and were not wearing masks. So the data speak for themselves.
And indeed, tonight on Fox News, Trump was asked what lessons he has learned from his own illness.
I think the biggest thing is that I did do it early. Now, you know, I have such great access to medical. We have the White House doctor who's great, and you have so many great doctors. So it's a lot easier for me than somebody that's, you know, doesn't have access to a doctor so easily. I think the big secret for me was I got there very early. And, you know, I think it would have gotten a lot worse. One of the doctors said he thought it would have gotten a lot worse.
We mentioned that Trump is also gearing up for a rally in Florida on Monday because in lieu of any real doctor information, why not? Today, Minnesota officials say 9 cases are now linked to his September 18th rally there. 1 patient, according to the newspaper, is in intensive care. As we mentioned, confirmed cases are now increasing all across our country. NBC News reports the average daily number of new COVID infections stands now at about 45,000, double what it was in June. President's illness has upended the presidential debate schedule. Of course, a few hours ago, the Commission on Debates officially canceled the next one, October 15th in Miami, after Trump refused to agree to a virtual event. For now, the final debate of the scheduled 3, scheduled to be held in Nashville October 22nd and hosted by our own Kristen Welker, is still on the schedule.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.